It's Brian Preston, the Money Guy.
All right, Brian. Seth asked this question. Man, a lot of tax stuff today. I'm having trouble deciding between a solo 401k and a SEP IRA. I can contribute the max to either one. I'm also married, and I'm wondering which one is a better option. So, Brian, why don't you talk a little bit about what's a solo, what's a SEP, which one's better, and does it matter if you're maxing it out anyways?
Well, yeah, this is a great. I love this question because this is so fun for me because it takes me back down memory lane of helping business owners and even myself when you're making decisions, when you're an entrepreneur. You're trying to figure out, hey, what's the best retirement savings vehicle? It's usually a progression. And there's a chance. Now, look, I guess things have changed a little bit because these solo 401ks kind of revolutionized things. So you might jump on that first. But let me tell you where SEP IRAs, what their superpower is before I tell you really the awesomeness of these solo 401ks. SEP IRAs are those unique tools that, because and I've shared my journey and I've talked to a lot of business owners who've worked with a lot of business owners. I know how hard that first 3 to 4 years is to get traction with your business. So to tell somebody who just started a brand new entity, hey, start funding that retirement account ASAP. They're like, what?
Are you kidding me? I'm trying to keep the lights on.
How am I going to fund retirement when I'm trying to just get this business off the ground? So it's just hard to allocate those resources in the beginning. So what I like about SEP IRAs is they are essentially a DeLorean that allows you to go back in time. They're one of the few unique where you can actually get a big benefit, tax benefit, in going back in time. What I mean by that is that you're a business owner or you have self-employment income, or you have a side hustle, and you've got this income that's coming to you that's subject to self-employment taxes, or you took a wage in your company, if you're a sub-chapter S or something like that, and you get to the point and your tax preparer goes, whew, man, Brian, Bo, I know the last 2 or 3 years were a struggle for you, but you knocked it out of the park this year. Congratulations. Right now, I'm showing on paper, you owe like $30,000 in taxes. You're like, what? Oh, $30,000. You got to tell me, tax preparer, is there something I can do that would allow me to minimize that? How do I get that down, lower? I'm like, well, there is a tool that you can do. It's called a SEP IRA that lets you, right now, I can set you up a SEP IRA that lets you go back in time and deduct it off of last year's income and actually lower your taxes. So potentially, if you owe $30,000 in taxes, there's a chance that, the government can fund 12 to 15,000 of this through tax savings. So they might, 40 to 50% of this could be funded through federal and state local taxes. Do you want to do that? Do you want to put some money in your SEP and then lower your taxes down that much? You're like, yeah, let's do that. So that's where the SEP IRAs, they are so powerful, but here's the caveats on that. SEP IRAs are only funded by the employer, meaning it is not your money, it's the employer's money. So if you started this company, it is your business or your self-employed opportunity that's going in, and everybody gets the same thing. So as soon as you start having employees, it typically blows this up because, yes, you want to put the SEP for yourself, but when you have to start putting 25% of compensation or 20% of compensation to your employees, you're like, whoo, this is going to get expensive really quick. Enter on the scene. By the way, SEPs are very easy to set up. So that's something. And by the way, here's another caveat, and I keep throwing things. Make sure you do, I think it's called a 5305, because custodians, I saw a case where the IRS went after an employer, a business, because they didn't have a copy of the 5305. What it is basically it's a form just letting the IRS know, hey, we're establishing this plan, and here's the eligibility requirements since this is an employer-provided plan. And by the way, here's the crazy thing. The IRS says, don't send it to us. You just keep this in your records.
Make sure you keep it filed.
Just keep it in your records. It'll be okay. Well, custodians, Vanguard, Schwab, Fidelity, I don't know who was the custodian for this case, but it was a large custodian, and they just set up the SEP IRA, did not require to see or get a copy of the 5305. Fast forward to the audit, and they ask, hey, you got the 5305, and this person was like, what's that? And, and they're like, well, in this, they got a hold of a hard person that really pushed and squeezed, and they end up they didn't allow the deductibility on some of those contributions. That is the worst case scenario, but I'm just telling you, check all the boxes and be careful. So that's the whole SEP IRA. Very easy to set up, no annual filing requirements with the government, no 5500s or IRS requirements, but just keep good records for the past. Then came along solo 401ks. Solo 401ks are pretty spectacular in several ways. And the fact that they let you do the same thing the SEP IRA does, meaning that you get to do a profit sharing, because that's what a SEP IRA is. If the employer's the only one funding, it is essentially a profit sharing contribution, since the company has to have money to do it. The solo lets you do not only the profit sharing component, but it lets you do a salary deferral. And we know right now in 2022, that's $20,500.
Yep.
So you get to do that salary deferral. I mean, you get to do the profit sharing that the SEP does, plus the salary deferral. So you can you can do you, and you can do a spouse.
That's right.
So you can have you and your spouse. Now, if you have employees, you're not doing a solo 401k. So if you have employees, just throw that out the window. It doesn't work. You go to more of a traditional 401k. But solo 401ks let you do you get to stack the 20,500. You get to stack the profit sharing, and you can do all the way up to
61,000.
Is it 61,000 unless you're 50 or older, and then you get to stack on the extra catch up contribution. But that is so powerful if you can do these things. But here's the catch on this. You don't get a DeLorean. You don't get to go back in time. So if you want to do a solo 401k, you have to set this thing up before your year end. So you have to be very proactive. Now, you get a little extra funding time on the profit sharing, just like a SEP IRA. But the salary deferral has to be run through payroll or attributed before year end. So that requires a lot more preparation. There's also the nerdiness of the fact that solo 401ks are very easy to set up. You don't require the 5,500s that traditional 401ks are required for a short period of time, meaning that as long as the assets are below $250,000, you avoid. By the way, pay attention, because compounding growth is such a powerful component that it doesn't take long, especially if you're funding it every year at that $60,000 mark. You'll hit $250,000 very quickly, and you better be filing that annual 5,500 at that point, or you could be like, whoopsie, and then get yourself, because the penalties are pretty stiff on that stuff. So pay attention to it. What did I leave off? Because there was a lot to cover.
Only two things that I think that I would add to that. When you're deciding how do you decide between the one, I would also think about other types of strategies you're employing. For example, if you're someone that's doing a backdoor Roth every year because your income is over the income limit, solo 401k might make more sense, because you can still do backdoor Roths without running into the pro rata calculation. If you have a SEP IRA, your backdoor Roths will now start becoming taxable. So you want to make sure that you stay aware of that. Here's the second thing. Perhaps this income that you're generating is from a side business, and you have a day job where you have access to another 401k. You only get one pot of $20,500 salary deferrals, meaning even if you have different 401ks, you can only put one $20,500 away. So a solo 401k, if you're going to do it and you have a day job, would only allow for you to make profit sharing contributions. So you kind of want to keep that in mind as you decide between the two. This is another great example. If you're trying to set up retirement plans, trying to figure out how to save on taxes, trying to take your finances to the next level, maybe you should also think about taking your relationship to the next level. Reach out to a professional advisor. We're always happy to chat with you. You can go to boundwealth.com, moneyguy.com. Check out the Work With Us page, because this is a prime example of when it might make sense for us to have a conversation.
And this is because he didn't ask, but Seth, here's the cool thing. I talked about SEPs. They're super easy to set up. They're low cost. Solo 401ks kind of revolutionized the self-employed game. Here's the good news. Because of all the pressure and the competition, when you graduate beyond solo 401ks because you get employees or your assets get too big, traditional 401ks or safe harbor 401ks, however with custodians and third-party administrators, have gotten so much more affordable than when I first started getting in the industry in the 90s. That it's not even scary when you graduate beyond even the solo 401ks. And it's just so exciting. I love these tools. I love what we do for a living, because this is the part where we do get to show the value of the abundance cycle, the value of working with nerdy people that know all the ins and outs of this stuff so that you can feel like every dollar is getting maximized, but you're also building the best version of your financial self for the great, big, beautiful tomorrow so you control and do your time. Go ahead and let abundance cycle be fulfilled. Learn, apply, grow. We know you stick around enough. You're going to need us at some point, and we'll be here.